Good morning all, hope you're all doing well. On today, the 26th of March, it's a Wednesday. Marvellous, I love that for us. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well out there. Hope you're all good. Another fun episode today. We are back with Tarkir Dragonstorm Spoilers. We must be getting close to the whole set being previewed. I know that the Loading Ready Run pre-release is Friday, so all the cards must be spoiled by then. And then pre-release for everyone else is a week Friday. So it's coming up thick and fast. Look, I'm really looking forward to the set. There's a lot of cool cards in here. I don't think I can actually do pre-release. I think the weekend it comes out, I'm just really busy. I've got a gig on the Friday, then Cube Clash is on the Saturday, which is going to be a full day, Magic the Gathering anyway. And then on Sunday, I have a birthday party. But should still be fun. I'm thinking about just picking up a... I'm actually so hyped for this set, I'm considering buying a booster box. For the first time in like 5 years, maybe? First time since lockdown, definitely. But let's have a look through the set, let's see what spoilers I say. We're going to move over to Mythic Spoiler today, to go through the cards. Just purely because it's kind of hard with Scryfall to work out which cards we've talked about and which cards we haven't talked about. As we talked about all of these yesterday, there's just new artworks being spotted. So we're going to go over to Mythic Spoiler for today. And let's see what we have. Cool. Jeskai Shrine Keeper, top left here. 2 and a Jeskai, 3/3 creature dragon, flying haste. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you gain 1 life and draw a card. That seems fine. Like, 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer with haste is slightly more than I want to be playing. But it does draw you a card. This seems like a very solid card in Limited. Is it going to get there in like a Peasant Cube? Probably not. I don't know. Just, I'm assuming... One thing with Peasant Cubes is that unless you're breaking lands for rarity, 3 colours is going to be quite tricky. This is a random Peasant Cube I have found. Shout out. Well, it's called the Peasant Cube, so I'm assuming that's why we found it. But, like, yeah, so this is an example of a cube that is breaking rarity for lands. But, like, without fetches, we have these ones. These only get basics. Yeah, without fetch lands, getting a 3-colour card in play is quite tricky in Cube. So it probably just means that this whole cycle might just be stuck on Limited, unless any of them break up. Yes, there you are. We're already live, darling. Unless any of them can break into Standard, if there is like 3-colour decks available in Standard. Yes, meow. Oh, you've been outside. You've had a run around. You probably had a little poo. That's okay, darling. We love you. Oh, good girl. But yeah, I think Jeskai Shrine Keeper is a fine card for Limited. Probably actually going to be quite strong in Limited. Like, it just... So normally in Limited anyway, like, flyers are really strong. But this is called Tarkir Dragonstorm, and there's a lot of flyers. There's just a lot of things in the air. So it dealing damage isn't going to be as free. Like, it looks like each tricolor has a cycle of uncommon dragons as well as rare dragons, and also we obviously have the split cards. I kind of wanted to find one as an example, like this. There's also these in the set as well. So it just means that kind of like attacking in the sky is not as free as it's going to be in other Limited environments, would be my gut. But if you're in Jeskai, you're running this card. Like, it is a reward for being in Jeskai, the same as the Abzan and the Teamer ones and all the ones are rewards for being in those colours. Just in terms of how strong it is, I think it might just be stuck with Limited. But let's have a look at Armored Dragon next, the Abzan one. 3 in an Abzan for a 3/4 dragon with flying. And when it enters, distribute 3+1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. See, I like this more because this effectively can just be a 6-mana, 6/7 flyer. That's pretty good. Or it can buff up your other or I can buff up a bunch of other stuff and get in for damage straight away. I don't think there's any flicker in this set that I remember seeing. So, but in Cube and in Commander, it could be used for that. Solid card. I think this is fine. I like this more than the Dragonet. More than the Dragon. More than the Jeskai one, just because those counters can impact the board straight away. Like, play this, make a bunch of 1/1s, because there's so many tokens in this set. Everything's a Rabble Master. Make a bunch of 1/1 tokens, 2/2s. You're doubling their power with this. I think that's pretty good. I like this dragon. Like, I'd be very fine. Like, all of these we are fine running in our certain colored decks, but this one you feel really rewarded for being an Absent for. I like that. Next up we have Kayak Guardian. Apologies. 3 in a teamer for a 6/5 flying vigilance trample. This creature has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. Okay, there was a commander that did that. There was a dragon. I think it's as I mentioned earlier. Is it Palladian Moors? Okay. As an ability, that's really annoying. This creature has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet, because it's just like, this is very much a card that on Arena, cool, fine, you can track this incredibly easily. But in paper, that's a ball ache, if I'm honest with you. I hate that ability in paper. This will include like fight spells, so a fight spell will have it dealing damage, I'm pretty positive, so that will make it lose hexproof. Maybe there's hexproof counters in the box, like on your pre-release kit, something like that. I mean, for limited, this does fill the team, like what Teamer wants. It's a creature with 4 or more power, which is kind of like the thing that Teamer's doing in this set. And so, again, goes in the deck in limited, but I don't really care about this card. This is just a level of annoyance I can't be bothered to play with. Reverberating Summons is next. At the beginning of each combat spell, if you've cast 2 or more spells this turn, this enchantment becomes a 3/3 monk creature with haste. This new other types until end of turn. And you can pay 1 and a red, discard your hand, sacrifice this enchantment, draw 2 cards. It seems annoying. It seems one only for the Jeskai deck, and only if you don't have anything else. I guess it is nice that if you play this on turn 3, you play this and something else, this can attack then. This just has to be worse than like walls that can attack if you do something. I would assume anyway, just because like it doesn't die to a wrath, which is nice, but I'm not fussed by this, if I'm honest with you. It is specifically if an opponent, if 2 or more spells have been cast this turn, I think I'd be more up for it. This does feel, there's another card in here that we'll get to that kind of feels like they are trying to bring the word storm into things a little bit. So by having this being like, oh, you have to cast 2 spells, your storm count is 2. They can't try and doing it that way. This feels like a top-down design around the word storm, and I don't think this is. My gut is that this is a fine but not good Magic card. This is like 20th in the red deck, for example. It is a single. The main thing going for it actually is that it's a single pip, so you can cast it. If everything's all multicolored, you do need some monocolored spells in there somewhere, and this will trigger prowess as well. So what this is here for is purely to trigger prowess. It is filler, basically. Alright, I don't think this card's filler. I think this card slaps. Frontline Rush is next. A Boros mana for an instant, and you choose 1. Create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, or target creature gets +X or less until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. This is good. We've seen plenty of. There's a ton of instants that will just make you 2 bodies. In the spells decks, in like Commander and Spellslinger decks, these are really good. You just need them, they're fine. But the fact that this can also just win you the game, the fact it's an instant, means that if you get any kind of board state, say you attack with like 5 or 6 creatures, which is not going to be hard in this deck. Just look at how many like, basically everything makes you another creature. Like, everything in Mardu, anyway. Mardu was earlier in the week, but, like, everything Mardu just makes you a bunch of tokens. Everything apart from the cards I can immediately find makes you a bunch of tokens. But yeah, like cards like Zergo, like, there's so much mobilize in this set that you're just going to have bodies, and you're going to have bodies that just come out of nowhere as well. This could be really strong because you attack with a Zergo or like 1 or 2 creatures that make you a bunch of bodies, and all of a sudden you have 5 or 6 bodies on board out of nowhere, and then you cast this, and the one non-blocked creature gets pumped for a very large amount. It gets through, and you take out an opponent out of nowhere. You go from kind of like a fine to middling attack to lethal very quickly. So Frontline Rush is going to be, my gut, premium uncommon here. We have another commander. Let's look at Felethar, Dawn of the Abzan. It is an Abzan for a 3/3 legendary creature human warrior with trample, and when it enters or attacks, you may sacrifice a non-land permanent. When you do, plus one counter on each creature you control. That's cool. It's kind of like a mini Korvold. Yeah, when it enters or attacks, sacrifice on the permanent, and you put a counter on it. The main difference is that Korvold is a flyer, and it also draws you a card. But Korvold's a mythic, and this is a rare, and it only costs 3 mana, and is in better colours for counters. So that's pretty good. Could we not have got this as a Daggertar? I miss Daggertar. Come back, my boy. Yeah, cool card. The fact it's an ETB, I like. That means you can get value straight away. And actually, hold on. Sorry. I'm only just really again, peek behind the curtain. When I'm reading these cards out loud, I'm very much just focusing on saying the words. I'm not really taking it in. So put a counter on each creature you control is really good. Yeah, I like this. So this in a deck where you're already doing tokens and pulling counters on stuff. So I'm thinking like Avenger of Zendikar. In Commander, that seems pretty fun. You make a bunch of tokens, you put counters on stuff. This helps you put counters on stuff. You run other things with this that kind of like... there's a bunch of... Actually, yeah, there's a bunch of effects that when things die, you move their counters onto other things. I don't think you can go modular because of the colours. But like there's a bunch of green creatures and effects, things like the Ozolith, and actually... is it Rayhan? Stuff like this. That let you move counters over when things die. That could be a really fun way of doing it, because like say something already had counters on it. With Rayhan, you get to pseudo move the counters over, but then you get more counters because of Felethar. That seems like a cool deck. That's the kind of plus one counter deck I don't think I've really built before. Again, I did have a Daggertar. Dagger. This lad, but there was just better. This was a fun commander because you can move counters around, and then you got rewarded when you moved counters onto other things. Tempt with bunnies. Sorry, I think I'm missing something there, but okay. Draw a card, then create a 1/1 rabbit coach, and then each opponent may draw a card. For each opponent who does, you draw a card. Yeah, this does make you a lot of bunnies. And you get some nice card draw. Nice. Yeah, just anything that makes you, like, even just, like, good old Secure the Wastes. Like, that is going to be fine in a deck with Felethar. With Felethar, I do think we want some kind of, like, it's a token deck that also does counters. That could be fun to build at some point. If you want that, let us know. Maybe we'll build that in the coming weeks. We have a bunch of cool legends on this set that we need to get into building. Get on with that. Alright, we have a very fine removal spell now. Kin Tree Severance. This is 2 or a white, 2 or hybrid 2 white, hybrid 2 black, hybrid 2 green. For an instant, exile target permanent with mana value 3 or greater. That's just very good. The the way this mana works is that you don't have. This is like 4 and a green, for example. You can do it that way, and these kind of cards, like the whole cycle of these hybrid mana cards. I think if you're in 1 or 2, with this one, if I am touching white, black, or green, I'm probably running this card like in pre-release, because just being able to exile any of these dragons, any of the big mythic dragons, that seems really good. I like this. This is the kind of card that kind of actually I would like. This is kind of the color identity in Commander kind of stopping you, because like this, if you were a mono green deck, you would pay 5 and a green for an instant to exile target permanent with mana value 3 or greater. You would 100% run that card, but obviously you can't in Commander because of the color identity. This could be one of those ones where you build a 3-color Commander, but actually it's a monocolored deck inside, something like that. But like this seems pretty solid for a Peasant Cube. Like unlike these where you are nailed in, you have to run these colors in a Peasant Cube. With this can go like white probably isn't running it because it has Swords to Plowshare, because it has Swords and Path. Like a black deck probably isn't running it because it has Doomblades and stuff. But a green deck would definitely run this, and then any combination of those colors. So a white-black deck would still run this, because then this is 4 mana total to exile target with mana value 3 or greater. Like, I'm assuming a Peasant Cube. Again, this is generic. This is I found. Are they? They're not actually running any removal, but like plenty of cubes will run like a cool bit of removal or interaction. If that's kind of what the colors are doing, like you might see like a Golgari or like a Golgari section run like Assassin's Trophy, something like that. It happens every so often. This is very flexible. If you were in a Peasant Cube, I would be tempted to test this just because it's goes in so many decks and does the thing that people want it to do. And that is exile target permanent with mana value 3 or greater. That is a very generally liked and rounded effect. Alright, we have Jeskai Revelation next. This is a very big spell. 4 and a Jeskai for an instant. Return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. Jeskai Revelation deals 4 damage to any target. Create 2 1/1 white monk creature tokens with prowess. Draw 2 cards, you gain 4 life. So this is a very big spell, obviously. I don't think this gets there in Commander, just being honest, just because like 7 mana in Commander, like I can't be hard casting this. That seems bad. And when you're going to go into like I've got cubes where we have a big spell deck, so using things like Dream Halls and Double Vision, and it's wanting to cast things like Ultimatums. Like that's kind of where I see this competing with. And there is tricky just because the Ultimatums are better than this. Even Wheels, like it. I feel like it doesn't draw us enough cards, and it doesn't do enough to like if I'm casting something, if I'm doing a deck that's all about cheating and double casting big spells, do I want a double bounce? It is just a lot of stuff. So I'm assuming I'm not casting this in response to someone doing something, basically. For me, like I know this can bounce a spell back to someone's hand, but realistically, how I'm seeing this is I'm bouncing a permanent. I'm I'm doing this at sorcery speed. Is how I'm seeing this. If I have like a Dream Halls package, that kind of stuff, like I think it's more likely I'm doing this at sorcery speed. Because that also means we can be like doing things like Mizzix Mastery, or like I know Torrential Gearhulker's Flash, but things like things like Scholar of the Lost Trove, or where is it? Yeah, Mizzix Mastery. That's how we're actually casting this spell. We're not ramping into this. Like, Yeah, PC has a good point on this. Like the Jeskai deck in this format is prowess. Like I think this is a trap for limited and that kind of stuff. But like The one thing is that it is an instant. Like there aren't that many big instants. So if we're getting our Dream Horse thing online, we pitch something small, bounce an opponent's best creature, deal 4 damage to their second best creature, create 2 1/1s with prowess, and draw 2 cards and gain 4 life. It's a lot of stuff, but kind of what it's competing against is like Blood for the Blood God, which deals 8 damage to an opponent and draws you 8 cards. It's competing against Magma Opus especially. This is tough. Like, Magma Opus is such a better card. Like, it makes you a 4/4. A 4/4 can actually win a game. And also, the cheaty flip side of Magma Opus is just early game. It can actually ramp you by just going to make a treasure token. Like, it's also competing against Inspired Ultimatum and Cruel Ultimatum. I think for that reason, I'm not here for Jesco Revelation. It is a big, powerful mythic, and if you actually get to counter something with this, but then they can just cast it again. Why is it not a counter spell? Yeah, I'm out. I don't like this card. Moving on. Alright, Sage of the Skies. Oh yeah, this was the card I was talking about that's kind of like pseudo-stormy, sort of. When you cast this spell, if you cast another spell this turn, copy this spell. It is a 2/3 fire with lifelink for 2 and a white. So the gimmick of this is you cast an Opt. I'm going to say it again. I really hope Opt turns out to be in this set. Otherwise, Jeskai's ruined. But you cast an Opt, do a bit of filtering, or even better, a Gitaxian Probe. That's better. Then cast this, and you for 3 mana you have 4 power, 6 toughness on the board with flying and lifelink. That's fine. Lower power level cubes I think could run this, but yeah, you either want free spells or so many cantrips. They're kind of like to an extent. Most cubes don't just like. We have some cantrips. Like I have Ponder, Preordain, Brainstorm, Tune the Narrative because I've got an energy deck in here. Like that's not. Like, I'm just thinking in a regular cube. Like say it's also in white. What could we be doing before this? Enlightened Tutor, Ephemerate, Path, Swords. Like, I don't think this isn't as. This is not a guarantee that you're going to do this. And obviously, late in the game, you could just play. Like on turn 6, you can play 3-drop into second 3-drop, and you get there. That's probably not bad. Seems like more one for limited for me. Maybe it could get there in standard, but I don't. If there is a just deck, this seems like a fine card in there, but it doesn't really. It doesn't do the thing that prowess decks do, which is kind of like this. Normally in a prowess deck, you play your creatures first, and then you play your spells, or you play your creatures around you playing your instants and sorceries. This wants you to play your instants and sorceries first, and then play this creature, which is not really how those decks operate. So just in terms of a play pattern point of view, I think it might struggle. Also, it looks like it's flying, and it has the flavor text gravity. It's just a suggestion. Oh, it has flying. It's literally right there. So I'm really dumb. The fact it's a fly that does make it better, but hey ho. All right, Thunder of Unity. This is just a lot of value. Red, white, and a black for a saga. You draw 2 cards, you lose 2 life is chapter 1. Then on chapter 2 and 3, whenever a creature you control enters this turn, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This seems phenomenal in Limited. In Limited, where again we're doing the Zergo, Mobilize, everything's a Rabble Master gimmick. Chapters 2 and 3 will just kill your opponent, like especially because you're going to be attacking with these creatures as well, so they're going to be taking damage from that. I think this is fine. You have to be able to cast it, so that again will limit it in Cube and in Commander. Like I do think if you're in a Mardu deck in Commander, you do just consider this now, just because having this little like mini Perforos effect down here, like being able to ping damage on the way in is very very strong. Yes, you can sleep up Blood Artist, but just basically if you are just turning lads and lasses sideways with something like Zergo or just like any of the Rabble Master type of decks, this seems very strong. Again, Secure the Waste just keeps getting better. Yeah, good card. Very strong and limited would be my gut. Alright, no idea what this does. Humble Elder, name TBC, that could change, is a single blue for a creature human monk with flash, and when this creature enters, target creature an opponent controls gets -2, -0 until end of turn. There's a fairy that does this, that already exists, which is obviously better than this. That might be one blue, I'm not sure if I'm remembering that correctly. So the main thing with this is one specifically for limited, because the Jeskai deck, and maybe to an extent the Teamer deck, is going to be wanting to be holding up instant sorceries a lot of the time. And this is basically your way of, yes, it's a combat trick. Yes, you can flash it in as a blocker. It'll most likely just survive a block. That's more what this is. Like, they attack you on turn 2 or 3 with a creature. You flash this in, you block, it doesn't die, and then that's kind of what you were doing with your mana, just because, like, it is very mana efficient, I will give it that, just a single blue. So kind of like you could cast this and one or two other combat tricks in a turn. It's fine, role player in Jeskai, not fussed about it anywhere else. Unsparring Boltcaster, I don't know why I needed to open that. Unsparring Boltcaster, 2 and a red, 3/3 Ogre Wizard. When it enters, it deals 5 damage to target creature and opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. Again, a little weird, just in that this only does this, like, you can only cast this at the end of your second main phase. I guess I can see it. It's basically, it's a chump checker, if that makes sense. So say you attack with Zergo, or I'm using Zergo as an example of anything that makes tokens in this set, but there's so many mobilized threats in this set. Basically, you attack with Zergo, they have like a creature, and it's like, oh fine, I'll soak up some damage, because also like Zergo's also a 2/4, for example, so if they have a 3/3, they could just be like, okay fine, I will block, they bounce, that kind of stuff. Or I'll my 2/2 will eat your 1/1 that you've mobilized, that kind of stuff. What this is here for is a reward for that deck. Because but basically this is not dealing 5 damage to a creature out of nowhere. This is finishing off a creature that's been dealt damage. I haven't seen many pingers in this set, anything like that. That is one where you can make this a bit better. But yeah, it's basically, this is here. It's a 3 mana 3/3 that finishes off a creature that blocked already this turn, which is fine. Like, realistically, how this will play out is that 5 damage will always be excess, I'm pretty positive, unless they do like chump with a dragon or something like that. It will mean that basically in game 1s, you will be able to get more people with this. In games 2, if they attack, they will not be chumping their dragons into your 1/1s. Or they shouldn't be anyway, but yeah, this seems fine card. It is a 3 mana 3/3 that can, with a removal spell, even, like, I don't think most of the time this is going to play out as deal 5 damage. It's going to be like a shock, but that's still good. It needs setup, but it's still fine. Alright, so that was the standard cards. Let's move on to the commander deck. Ooh, we've got 8 to get through. About half an hour. Cool, we finish early. We might, or if we finish early, we'll discuss what commanders from the deck, from the set we want to start building first of all. Alright, so Broodcaller's Scourge is 7 mana for a 5/7 dragon with flying, and whenever one or more dragons you control deal combat damage to a player, you may put a permanent card with mana value less or equal to the damage from your hand onto the battlefield. This is fine. Is this fine, actually? No. No, I don't like this card. 7 mana is a lot for this. 7 mana is a lot. And it's only ever 1 or more. So, damage to a player. So if you deal damage to... I don't know how this works in Commander, of like, if you deal damage to opponent A, B, and C, do you put in 3 things? Potentially. I need to check the rules are a few when that comes out. But the one thing with this is a 7 mana 5/7. So you're already getting to 7 mana, and then you're playing your threat that you then need another threat to make really good. Or this is going in a deck where you're cheating it into play, but you're cheating something in to cheat more things in. That's kind of the issue with this. Like, I'm not going to sneak attack this in to then get something else in. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like... It's fine. It's very commandery, but I don't think like the one thing with this is there aren't many dragons in green, like comparatively, especially compared to red. So if you are in like maybe a Gruul dragon deck, then I think I can see this. But this is pretty weak, if I'm honest with you. Like it's only got 5 power here. I'm not fussed by this, if I'm honest with you. All right, become the Avalanche. What do? 4 green. I am the Avalanche. It's a sorcery with draw a card for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. The creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Okay, these are all pretty solid. This does seem just like a worse... is it Return of the Wild Speaker? Yeah. So this is either or. So you either get the draw or you get the pump. But it's an instant, which we like. This is a sorcery, so you do have to do it pre-combat. You can't get anyone. But actually, this is equal to the greatest power among non-creatures you control. This requires you to have a board state. Draw a card for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. Oh, that's much worse. That is much worse. For this to be good... Actually, this is a bad card. Hold on. I'm talking myself into thinking this card sucks. So the issue here that I see is this is requiring you to have a board state of a bunch of creatures with power 4 or greater, and then you draw, and then you're rewarded by it. Because like there is a serious world where this is Stone Cold nothing after a Wrath, and I know Return of the Wild Speaker is also nothing after a Wrath, but this will all you need to do is play 1 creature and then you're going to draw some cards, whereas with this I think this is a bad Magic card. Tell me if I'm wrong. What do people think? What do they think people think have become the Avalanche? It just seems too many hoops. Like you're already winning by this point. If you're if you're taking your turn playing the 6 mana spell to draw, say you draw 4 cards off this 6 mana, draw 4 cards. Draw 4 cards, and then creatures you can get control get like +4, +4, or 5. Like there isn't that much of a difference making your 6 6s and 7 7s 11 11s. They're already dead by that point, or you just play Overrun or anything else. Yeah, BC, I agree. Yeah, if you already have a bunch of dragons, you're already winning. Exactly. This is very much like you don't need to get to this point. Kind of like Broodcaller Scourge. It's a card that is... You've already won, in theory, by the time you're casting this card and getting the most out of it. Like the point when this is great, you've already won. I know, right? Now you're coming back. Come on. You've had your breakfast. No? Come on. Come on, there you go. Wow. Yes. Meow. Alright, everything's better. Alright, let's see if this card is. Zenith Festival, X red, sorcery. Exile the top X cards of your library. You may play them until the end of your next turn. And harmonize X red, which is a reminder is you may cast this card from your graveyard for its harmonized cost, and you may tap a creature you control to reduce the mana value cost by an amount of generic mana equal to its spell's power, then cast... You can tap a creature and you reduce the cost of the X spell by its power. This is pretty solid, actually. I like the fact that this is a card that you want to play it early, just to put it in your bin, and then later, if there's a bit of a board stall, you can tap a creature or just pay it because it is the same mana cost. I think this is the first time we've seen Harmonize be exactly the same mana cost. This seems great, actually. Like in Commander, where you are effectively, this is an investment in yourself. You are taking a turn off to set yourself up for the next turn. Maybe you do this on like turn 5 or 6, and you do it to find a land on this turn. Hopefully, you get a land the next turn and a couple of spells to cast. This seems pretty good. This could even be one for like other discard decks. Because the flashback or the harmonize on this is actually way stronger because if you have a 5/5, so a board stall with this in your graveyard, if you have a 5/5, you can tap the 5/5 and 2 lands, and then you'll exile the top 5 and you'll access to those cards, and you'll still have all but 2 of your lands untapped. That's where I like this. Yeah, the Harmonizer is way better, actually. So, Jund graveyard stuff, I can see this being pretty good. Obviously, in just like the generic beef deck that Teemo is running from the set, will also be fine. When we've seen Harmonize in this set so far, it's generally, like, the Harmonize cost is so much higher. Like, if we just look at Harmonize. Like, look at all these. Like, 1 mana, Harmonize cost is 7. 2 mana, Harmonize cost is 6. You see this? Like, everywhere, Harmonize is so much higher. This is the first time it's the same. That is really strong. The reason why it's higher is because you're getting a bonus spell for free. It's flashback, basically, and you can reduce its cost. It's got a built-in cost reduction. But the way they balance that is that everything needs to be... The Harmonized costs need to be higher. But with Zenith Festival, it's not. So don't sleep on this card. I think this is really strong. Alright, Thundermane Dragon next. 3 in a red, 4/4 flyer. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast creature spells with power 4 or greater from the top of your library. If you cast a creature spell this way, it gains haste until end of turn. I love these type of effects. I always forget the name of the original bloody card. It's Future Sight? Is that the blue one? You don't get many of these effects in red, which is nice. The fact that this is on a cheap-to-cast dragon, the fact that this is on a 4-mana 4/4, that is a part of the curve that dragon decks tend to miss out on, because dragons are either... Well, most dragons are like 5 or 6 plus mana for good ones. There is more now, but there is a bit of a gap between... I mean, there's barely any between like 1 and 3. That's where your ramp is. And then it kind of... If you can get a dragon down early on turn 4, which then lets you... If you can cast like 1 or 2 spells off of this, like... The fact it gives the dragon haste as well is great. Like, if you, play this on 4 and then later in the game you get your Lathless out early, that's phenomenal. Yeah, I think this card's great. Very strong. It doesn't just have to go in dragons, can just go in the beef Teamer decks or the beef Teamer adjacent decks, so Gruul or Beefy Izzet. Does that exist? I want Beefy Izzet to exist. Maybe we'll build that at some point. But, yeah, I think that this card's strong. Also, it does get better in more... Like, this type of effect, like, just looking at the top card of your library is very strong in general, just because, like, even if you don't... Even if you see it's not a spell, it does let you control when you use your fetch lands or use your shuffle effects. In the Teamer deck, it makes stuff like Brainstorm better. Does it make Brainstorm better? It makes it's like the Brainstormy shuffle, knowing how you're controlling the top of your library type of effects. They get way better when you just know what the top of your library is. So Thundermane Dragon, very strong card. You don't get the top ability in red much, but then if you get 1 or 2 cards off of this, then you are very happy. I'm a big fan of Thundermane Dragon. Like, let's keep it rolling. Parapet Thrasher, 2 red, creature dragon, 4/3 with flying. Whenever 1 or more dragons you control deal combat damage to an opponent, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. They built in the 1 or more into it, so... Destroy target artifact that an opponent controls. This creature does 4 damage to each other opponent, or exile the top card of your library you may play at this turn. This is fine, but middling. This seems like a solid card in a... Dragons deck that's not... Like, when I think Dragons deck, I want to win with cards like Lathless, 6 mana, flyer. Then whenever another non-token dragon you make a 5/5. So you just make a bunch more beefy dragons. You have like when I built dragon decks before, this might sound stupid, but you only have about 10 dragons. But those 10 dragons, if you get like 2 or 3 of them in play, they will win you the game. That's kind of what I want. Like it is Lathless, and there's the other one that whenever a dragon attacks, you make a dragon as well. Stuff very strong, like that with like some extra combat steps. That's how I generally win with dragon decks. You need a core density of just like very strong dragons, whereas Parapet Thresher seems to want to go in a deck where you're running more 4-drop dragons. Like, this is wanting me to curve out with dragons, and that's tricky. Hello again! We've got some meow. Hello. Yes, cat. Good to see you. Good to see you, little one. I'm not saying Parapet Thrasher is a bad card, and just being curve, or just helping with your curve, I think is important. Yeah, it's nice interaction. The more I'm looking at these, the more I'm saying that it is probably, if you deal damage to 3 different opponents, you can do all 3 of them. Like, the fact that this has 3 modes, I guess the gimmick is if you have this and 2 other dragons, you can hit multiple opponents, in which case this isn't terrible. Like, throwing around 12 damage is not something to, like, that is not nothing. Yeah, I don't hate this. It's not a bad card, I think it's fine. My gut is this 4-mana rare is fine. If you're in a Dragon's deck and I saw it played against me, I would not be like, what is that? But it's kind of, I guess maybe we are in a new world of Dragon decks where the Lathless big Dragon lads isn't what it used to be. Let me just... What is the... Is it Ultrava Hellkite? Is that the... Like, yeah. This is how we win in dragon decks. The biggest dragon that makes more big dragons. And Lathless. Like that's what we're after. That's how I'm winning in dragon decks. But I guess to an extent, just having something at 4 is quite nice. Alright. Will of the Teamer. We have the Teamer Will. 5 and a blue. Sorcery. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast a spell, you may choose both instead. That's the gimmick with this cycle. You can create a token that's a copy of target permanent, except it's a 4/4 dragon creature with a flying and other types. That's quite fun. Or target player draws cards equal to the greatest mana value among permanents you control. Okay, this is... I like this. This is kind of the effect that I want off this. You're in a Dragon's deck. You're going to have high-value spells. Like, this is a reason to... Like, if I'm in Im as Izzet or Teamer, I want to play my Ultrava Hellkite or cheat it into play. Preferably cheat it into play, and then cast this to draw 8 cards, something like that. That is the point of this deck. I like that. And then the second part, it's an effect we've seen before. Like, it feels like the Astral Dragon style of effect. It probably is the Astral Dragon. So this animates... This creates 2... Astral Dragon has been a very strong card. Like, you can do some dumb... There is combo potential with this. This and... Actually, Astral Dragon and... Cursed Mirror? Does that work? So, Cursed Mirror enters the battlefield. You may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield. Does that... No, because this isn't a permanent. Okay. Maybe there is something you can do. So, this is a cool card. You're only playing this in Commander, where at 6 mana, you're probably playing this when you have your Commander out. So you are probably getting both. I mean, just animating a Soul Ring and beating someone to death with it seems quite funny. But there will be better things you can animate. Just things with effects, obviously. Or like equipment with Indestructible. Or lands with Indestructible. That could be quite strong. Yeah, cool card. This is a card that you will run in any kind of blue X Dragon decks, or just any and also Leviathan decks. Any blue X deck where oddly you have a lot of big beef, or you're cheating things into play. Seems like a good like. If this part here is a draw 7, then this is a great card. Run it. All right, 2 more. Hammerhead Tyrant. 4 blue, 6/6 creature dragon with flying. Whenever you cast a spell, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to an opponent controls with mana value less or equal than. Whenever you cast a spell, return up to 1 target non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to that spell's mana value to its owner's hand. Ooh, this is fun. This is fun. We've seen this before. There was a. Was it a Djinn? This is immediately going to be me. I think there was a blue Djinn. It was briefly played in Legacy or something like that as a reanimation target. Because what you end up doing with that one, you could just bounce everyone's lands back to the hand. I don't Maybe it's not a Djinn, but so this is fun. This is the type of big cheaty reanimation spell I could see it running in a cube that doesn't want this reanimation spell to just win straight away. So like a lower powered level cube. This seems pretty fun. You can't do their lands, which is probably fair. I will admit not being able to bounce their lands is fair, but just this makes like combat miserable. This like makes, so it is less than or equal. So yeah, again, your opt best card in the set if it's not in the set. Sorry, let's close the window. Someone's drilling. Your opt bounce their 1/1s. Your Doomblade kills a creature and bounce their 2 mana things. That's pretty good. Like any tokens just get ripped. This is a great card actually. What is the card I'm thinking of? Sorry, let's look for this one. Hammerhead Tyrant. Whenever you cast a spell, return up to 1. It does have this text on it. Like, it was a very strong card. Well, I mean, Hullbreaker Horror is also a messed up magic card. Maybe Hullbreaker Horror replace it. Maybe that's why I haven't seen it much. Maybe cast choose up to 1 return. Okay, yeah, Hullbreaker Horror, miserable card. Hammerhead Tyrant, less miserable, but slightly easier to cast and flying. Yeah, Hammerhead Tyrant seems fun. I could definitely see myself trying it in like a more bigger mana value, fun type of cube. Kind of like a treat yourself cube, if you will. Ah, the segue. Wow, damn, we're getting good. All right, Deceptive Frostkite. Blue, 1/1, creature dragon, flyer. You may have this creature enter as a copy of a creature you control with power 4 or greater, except it's a dragon in addition to its other types, and it has flying. Sorry. So we talked about clones a bit yesterday in terms of there is like a hierarchy in terms of clones. It's effectively, for 1/1 formats anyway, your best in show is Phantasmal Image, it's Phyrexian Metamorph, this kind of stuff. It's the one that costs 2 and the one that costs 3, basically. So the fact that this costs 2 is good, and in theory, you are casting this in where these cards are best. So where Phantasmal Image is best is the thing is that they go in different decks. Phantasmal Image and Phyrexian Metamorph they are very flexible magic cards that can in theory go in any deck. They can go in the cheat deck, and that's kind of where this goes, because it is a creature you control. It goes in the cheat deck. It goes in a deck where you've done your thing, you've reanimated your Archon of Cruelty, and then you play a Phantasmal Image or a Phyrexian Metamorph, and you really get them. Like that just ends the game. Your opponent can't come back from that. They are dead. That is where Deceptive Frostkite is good. The one issue is that Phantasmal Image and Phyrexian Metamorph are also good in just like more mid-rangey decks. In decks where you're playing against the cheat deck. So if your opponent reanimates Griselbrand, cool. You Phyrexian Metamorph and you get a Griselbrand. That kind of stuff. Or you Phantasmal Image their Archon and they have to sack their Archon. That stuff's really good. This is where Deceptive Frostkite is going to fall down a little bit. Like it's only, this is great and phenomenal in that deck where you're putting an 8 mana drop into play earlier, or you're cheating a big creature into play and then you play to spend 2 mana to get a copy of it that will stick around. That is good. We love that. The thing is, this isn't going to be helpful that early. Like there are worlds like I have seen plenty of people get stuck on mana and Phantasmal Image like a Noble Hierarch or something like that, just to keep their game plan going. It's an incredibly flexible card. That's kind of why Phantasmal Image is best in show. So this only hitting creatures with power 4 or greater really limits it. It's only for those cheat decks. And cheat decks that don't have a lot of legends in them, because obviously legend rule, that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be great in this precon, just copying any of these big, beefy, non-legendary creatures. Great. Love that. You can look at the top of card of your library twice. Ooh. But yeah, the Frostkite will be fine there. I don't think it will kind of make it into other decks, but in those kind of things, it will be pretty solid. Alright, let's just do a quick refresh, see if anything's been added this morning. It has not. Right, I think that's where we're going to end it for today. Yeah, we can't have too many more days of spoilers left. We will start getting into commander deck buildings soon. I do want to see in the comments what commanders people want to be built from this set. I will take them from suggestions. If there are no suggestions, I'm just going to build all the Sultai ones because I want to build them. But yeah, let me know what you all want. This cat needs the second half of her food. Yes, you do. Yes, she's very hungry. So that's where we're going to leave it for today. Pleasure all. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Until then, we'll catch you all soon. Goodbye.